been made by NATO on the subject of troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. The NATO's Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg has said that the alliance is now seeking a lasting and a sustainable political agreement in Afghanistan. The NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg briefed the media on the road ahead for both Afghanistan and Iraq, two regions that have long become major flashpoints in West Asia. Listen in.
We are faced with many dilemmas, and there are no easy options. At this stage, we have made no final decision on the future of our presence. But as the 1st of May deadline is approaching, NATO allies will continue to closely consult and coordinate in the coming weeks. We remain committed to our support mission, with training and funding for the brave Afghan security forces. NATO strongly supports the peace process, and as part of it, we have significantly reduced the number of our troops. The peace process is the best chance to end years of suffering and violence.
Its decision not to pull out comes after numerous threats by the Taliban, who say that any delay will actually mean a return to full-scale fighting. The insurgents have also launched a string of offensives threatening at least about 2 provincial capitals. The Taliban's warning, urging NATO ministers not to seek a quote-unquote continuation of occupation and war by staying still stands. Now, NATO Secretary-General Stoltenberg has said that a spring offensive will only damage the prospects for peace. He also believes that there is still time to try and reach a political solution and a political agreement in Afghanistan before the 1st of May deadline. The NATO chief has further added that there will be nearly about 10,000 NATO troops stationed in Afghanistan from NATO's European allies. He also said that focus now is to have successful peace talks and to ensure that Afghanistan does not become a safe haven for international terrorism. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken reviewed the troop deployment strategy with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, with the top American diplomat reiterating support for the peace process. The Blinken told Ashraf Ghani that the United States is committed to a peace deal that includes, and I quote, a just and a durable political settlement and permanent and comprehensive ceasefire. In Iraq, NATO will be expanding its troop presence for its mission to train Iraq's sovereign forces from 500 to 4,000. Jens Stoltenberg said that this was in fact at the request of the Iraqi government itself to help fight the remnants of the so-called Islamic State, although the Iraqi parliament last year had passed a resolution stating that all foreign troops will have to vacate Iraq as soon as possible. And we earlier spoke with our correspondent Simon Marks, who joined us live from Washington, D.C. And this is what he had to say about the American rethink about the Afghan peace deal and also about the troop deployment in Iraq.
The Biden administration finds itself in a bind that is a predictable bind. They knew it was coming because, of course, Joe Biden's predecessor in the White House there, Donald Trump, planned for the full-scale withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan, a decision that troubled some Democrat strategists when it was made because they argued that the facts on the ground, even at the time, didn't suggest that the time was apposite for those remaining 2,500 troops to come back. Now the facts on the ground have worsened. They've become less stable.